A Conservative MP is suggesting that the Liberals have a secret plan to resurrect the long gun registry. Solomon Friedman is a firearms legal expert and joins me. So Solomon, what's the story on this one?
Well, I mean, frankly speaking, I don't think it's too much of a secret. I can recall back when I was testifying about the long gun registry before Parliament, the Liberals were very clear in their opposition to any plans to scrap it. And, it was sort of a hallmark plank of their 90s governance. I can only imagine they'll be pretty keen to bring it back, and that seems to be the case.
So it's the suggestion is coming from an Alberta MP. Blaine Calkins is his name. He recently spoke with our QMI agency and said that the Liberals are set to debate a motion at their convention next week, asking the party to create what they call a, quote, Australian-type national gun policy. So it's a throwback, obviously, to Jean Chrétien days, and we saw the horrific shootings at Polytechnique, and then all of a sudden it was the knee-jerk reaction of creating this gun registry. But Solomon, look, you and I both know criminals don't register their guns. I mean, that's not the point, and it cost the taxpayers just a minor $1 billion in order to even get to a point of creation, and it wasn't even into its fruition, and now here we go again.
Adrienne, I think it's important for all your viewers to understand that the gun registry itself was really just the first step in this process. And when they talk about an Australian-type gun control scheme, registration is the first step. The next step is to break guns into categories, which has already been done in Canada, and start to prohibit more and more firearms based on either aesthetic features or other factors that really have nothing to do with lethality or how dangerous they are. And I think that has been the Liberal Party approach to the gun issue since the beginning, which is to register, restrict, and then prohibit. That's really what gun owners can expect to see, I think, under a Justin Trudeau-led government.
So next week is this big policy convention, and they're actually going to come up with a few policies, Solomon, which is, I guess, a good thing. Justin Trudeau is going to have to defend them and talk about them, which will create a whole host of other problems, but focusing specifically on this one. I'm glad you gave us a breakdown of what it means as far as this Australian model goes. It was implemented in that country in 1996, and they even have to register their paint guns. It's that specific. But this motion is going to be coming specifically from being moved by the Youth Caucus. So it's very much about using that image of young people saying, we don't want guns, hugs, not guns, all of that. It's an emotional argument. You tug on the heartstrings. People do think of what happened in Sandy Hook. They talk about restricting it in the United States. It's a perpetual conversation as far as Second Amendment rights. But really, it's about the cost here. Safety, violence is going down in Canada. Gun violence is going down. Other areas are going up. Other areas as far as murder with weapons and knives and things like that. But this obsession with the guns is really, to me, as far as what the Liberals are trying to do, very emotional.
Well, Adrienne, I don't think there's anybody who would say that a conversation about violence, about firearms violence, even about gun control is a bad thing. But it's when that conversation is not based on empirical evidence, solid fact, and instead is based on, an appeal to emotion, that it's really quite dangerous. And we've had years and years of gun policy being made on the basis of emotional appeals and, as you said, a knee-jerk reaction to tragedy, instead of being made on cold, hard evidence. And, the social science is very clear on this topic. That is to say, gun laws, gun restrictions do nothing to prevent violent crime or crime of any sort. There was a leading study in the Journal of Interpersonal Violence that was recently published that said there is no link whatsoever between any of Canada's gun control laws, forget just the gun registry, any of the gun control laws, and our murder by firearm rate. Zero connection whatsoever. So if there is going to be a policy discussion, let's hope that the Liberals take that to heart in terms of having that discussion on the basis of evidence and fact.
We also know that recently our colleague here at Sun News, Lauren Gunter, did an extensive piece and analysis on the High River gun grab, Solomon. I know that you're quite familiar with that. And that was very much targeting law-abiding Canadian gun owners. This is about, they took them away with little to no explanation, and frankly, no explanation. I guess I get concerned with that sort of blanket idea that we're going to target, registered gun owners, law-abiding citizens who simply, they're shooting the coyotes off of their farm, they're trying to get on their ranch. I mean, those are the sorts of images I think of. I grew up in the prairies. I understand that. We're not talking about the guns and the gangs in downtown Montreal or Toronto or Vancouver. It's a very different discussion.
Yeah, and let's remember, of course, that Canada is home to 2 million licensed gun owners. The vast majority of whom are law-abiding, responsible, pro-social citizens. The crime and gun problem is a crime problem. That is, it's one foisted upon us by individuals who, by definition, don't respect the law. I like to think of it this way. If the mandatory sentence of life imprisonment for murder isn't going to deter a criminal, then surely the fact that they're breaching a gun control scheme or some gun control law isn't going to deter them otherwise. So, we really need to keep the focus on where the problem is.
All right. Thanks very much, Solomon. Appreciate your thoughts on this.
My pleasure.
Solomon.